Live.
Thank you, Jen. Hello, I'm Eka Kapiotis here on behalf of the FRWRC Women's Resource Center, and I'd like to welcome everyone and my good friend Ann Adams to the magical, practical 7-star hammer at WomanGathering. And I'm very excited tonight. We've already been having a very fine discussion here, so we'll be jumping in part way. But let me just kind of catch you up on a few things that have been said before I turn it over to Ann. And that is that we've been talking about how Ann is from Florida, visiting here from Florida, and came to do this. So I'm thinking too many thoughts at one time. How do I wrap up all the discussion that we've been having here in just a minute? But basically, Ann, you were saying that that you have a background in biology and science and love that, and love the idea that we're all designed to heal.
Right.
So with that, I am going to go ahead and turn it over to you. But first, I'd like to say this is my good friend Ann Adams, who I first met almost 30 years ago. Yes. At an advanced healing course, imagine that. And here we are. Who would ever guess we'd be in downtown Front Royal 30 years later? It's just
and still good. In love.
And still in love. And we are still in love. I was thinking actually that there's this whole room full of wonderful people, and I was like, who is this woman? I've got to get to know her. So yes, I fell in love with you, right? It was love at first sight. Anyhow, Ann is a wise woman, a healer of long-standing, and not more than a healer. She's really thought about the nature of life and has developed a real philosophy around it. So I am just tickled to turn it over to you, Ann. And you were talking about our bodies as being self-healing.
That's exactly right, and it's one of the things that attracted me to learn something that had that as a basis. And so, the older I get and the more I've practiced acupuncture, the more I realize that there are some techniques and some tools that are really easy. And people can learn those so easily. I also wish it were taught in school. I wish it were taught in the 2nd grade. I've even thought, what would the curriculum be for the 2nd grade? Because people could take care of each other. You could take care of yourself. You could take care of your friends. People would be a community that did this kind of thing just to unblock what was blocked. This is an acupuncture term. So that your body could just step in, your body, mind, spirit could step in and do what it wants to do.
And what it was designed to do.
What it's
designed to
part of the design.
Right.
And to not have that as part of our medical thinking, I think is disempowering. Because then we, as a society, and I don't imagine that all of you do this at all, but go to a doctor because we say that medical doctors are the only game. And then, they're not. And now that is much more common to think. I think it's burgeoning. I don't know if you've ever made bread, but one of the things I loved about making bread when I first learned it in the old hippie days was that you put the yeast in with a little bit of flour and maybe a little bit of sweetener, and then you wait. And you wait for the yeast to prove itself, to proof. And so pretty soon there's a bubble, and then pretty soon it all just blossoms at the top, and then you know it's live, and you go forward. Well, I think that's what's happening here now, that everything's the yeast is proving that it's good, it's healthy and alive. And so, after I stopped practicing officially one-on-one, I really learned over those 30 years how to read energy, how to do a whole lot of energy stuff. And so part of it is I would like to give back now some of what I know. It's time. And one of the things that I started with a long time ago and now I'm finally completing is a little booklet about how to use a 7-star hammer, and I will show it to you right now. You can get these from Amazon now. You didn't
Actually,
used
I'll
to be
pass
able
one
to.
around.
Okay.
Okay, while you're showing that.
This is an unopened one, I think. I brought
This
it
one's
on
open.
purpose. This one is actually open too. But they're sterilized in the package. You know, it's truly a very safe instrument to use. It's got a little flexible handle, and it's called 7-star because it has 7 little tiny points. It's not an acupuncture needle at all. It just taps, and so you tap yourself with it, just like this. That's it, and it's amazing what happens then. It's just astonishing what happens, and there are all kinds of now tapping techniques that are around, and most of them are tapping with your hands. This is a little stronger than doing it with your hands. However, the latitude of what responds just knocks me out. So I began to do some research, and you can look online. And you'll find videos about how to use it for balding or alopecia. I don't have that in my booklet, actually. I realize that's gone. But you can do certain things, but I think you can do a million things. So this class that this workshop I'm giving on Saturday, we're going to really go through the little booklet I've written and practice these things. So, but I'll tell you about it, because if you would like to order one for yourself, then you'll have some idea. And I also want to say I'm a very casual person too. So if you have questions, ask them, okay, as we go along. I really would love it, because I get off on these little tracks, and I would love to bring it back to what your interests really are. Okay, so, oh good.
I tapped myself so people could see up close.
This is technically called a dermal needle, and it's called a dermal needle because it only goes to the dermal level of your skin, and your skin is multi-layered. So it goes to the dermal level. It doesn't penetrate deeply at all. It really just taps. What was I going to say about that? So there are different theories about how it works. This is a really ancient tool, thousands of years old. Acupuncture's lost, the origins of acupuncture are not known. It's prehistoric. And that's true of also Ayurvedic medicine. So if you ever hear anybody say acupuncture is the oldest medicine, or Ayurveda is the oldest medicine, no, that's not true. We don't know anything about that. We just know that they have a lot in common. So
and can I just ask a question? And because one thing, when I was learning the very little teeny bit I know about acupuncture, what I had heard is that that in Asia, or in that culture, they revere the people, and they wouldn't cut them up to do an autopsy or to see what's inside. So they learn to do the healing by only touching the surface. Is that true?
pretty much.
Okay.
And I was taught that they were there, this was a really long time ago, but I remember it, that I was taught that they had much less knowledge than we did, and you could tell because they didn't do as many cuts into the skull. So when you find these prehistoric remains, they just don't have much. And then I eventually learned they knew a whole lot more than we did, and they didn't need to do them.
Yeah.
And that's true. That is
Okay,
really
yeah.
so.
I mean, it's a really different perspective
It
that
is.
kind of has a lot of respect.
No, that's right, and I
Yeah.
think I do too. There are lots of ways in those old medicines, this is really about acupuncture more than about this, but a lot of ways that one gets information, and it's by careful observing. So you look at people's faces and you see colors right in this area, and you can look around at each other, and your colors, the color on your faces are all different, the colors on your faces. You listen to people's voices and hear when people change the loudness or the softness or the musicality or the sharpness or all of those various things. You look at people's tongues. There's a lot of information that you can gather about your physical condition inside from looking at your tongue on the outside. it's accurate. It's quite accurate. I've forgotten who was the physician to the Dalai Lama, I think, a long time ago, went through Johns Hopkins with a group of cardiology interns and cardiologists to the various patients that were there, and looked at their tongues and looked at their urine, which is another way you can do it, and accurately described what the people in Johns Hopkins had found, which is interesting.
Wow.
Isn't
That's
it?
really
And it's been
impressive.
written up. That
Yeah.
is something that's on the record. That's
Wow.
a real true story.
Very
So
impressive.
there are ways through really connecting to people in accurate and careful observation that give us a lot of information about each other. And it's not that it's psychic. Of course, that would help. But it is understanding the flow of this underlying energy and seeing how it shows up at any moment in any of us. And none of it's considered bad, so if we're out of whack, well, we're just out of whack. Then we do something and remove the barriers, and then our bodies bring us back, is the idea. Not just our body, but bring us back. There's a whole section that I've tried really hard to write in the little booklet I've got coming about emotions, but it got really complicated, so I left that part out for the moment. But emotions are certainly part of this, and as strong as any other influence on our health that you can imagine. They're a very strong influence. Okay, so far? I feel as if I'm lecturing, and I really don't need to. Okay, any questions so far? So far, so good?
And how did you discover this, which doesn't seem like traditional acupuncture?
It is, though. There are a lot of tools.
And maybe it is, but how was it just in your practice and your study
Yeah.
that you came across this?
Right. Well, in my school, too, it was mentioned, and then we talked about it some. It wasn't a technique we used a lot because we were focusing on needles, and acupuncture needles. But yeah, and so then I began to use them, and then suddenly realized, goodness, look at this.
Yeah, how
Look what
simple.
we're doing here. So then I began to get them from Oriental Medical Supply, and I could get, a whole bunch of 100 at once. And I gave them to all my patients and said, okay, look, before you come in for just a really fast, like an emergency treatment, call me, because if you have one of these, it's possible I can walk you through it on the phone. You can do this yourself at home. And all kinds of things cleared up. I'm not allowed to put in print a lot of things it did because it's considered practicing medicine without a license. So then I didn't put that in print. But there are a lot of things that aren't considered that are of more superficial, symptoms.
I wondered why when we talked about, what we would talk about, what we put in the flyer, it's allergies, hives, and I'm thinking there is like way more than these things that
there
it
really
treats.
Yeah, there are more
A
than
lot
you can
more.
treat. And I think that if I didn't have if I hadn't been licensed for a long time in acupuncture, I wouldn't have that come up in my mind at all. But we were cautioned all the time, especially at the beginning, about not overstepping certain boundaries. And it is a sign of the concreteness of this one approach to medicine that we have. That you could get in trouble if you encroach on that, unless you're pretty careful. So
what?
I'm careful.
We bring encroachers here.
Well,
We welcome encroachers.
Croach.
We might have a really good time.
I'm wondering if you might demonstrate it.
I would be delighted. And now, this is a little bit like your toothbrush. So that what you want to do, and Bob, my husband, right over there, whom I love with all my heart, and I travel together, and occasionally he doesn't bring his toothbrush. This all comes together. So we just share a toothbrush. But there are certain disorders that possibly could be transmitted through this, and so you want to be careful if you share it with somebody that you know their background. And I'll tell you 3 of the main ones. Hepatitis, especially hepatitis C and B, I think. AIDS, you know, is it the virus that AIDS comes out of my mind right this minute, and malaria is another one. Those are possible things.
All bloodborne.
Bloodborne pathogens. And so you just want to be careful. The chances are it wouldn't be transmitted. The chances are people wouldn't have them. But just be careful. That's the thing. So I'm happy to demonstrate, and I can even demonstrate on you, but you have to tell me for sure that your background is really clean, because I'm just going to use this one needle. This one hammer. So I can operate on you.
Okay, I don't have, does anybody have a bite or?
Well, let me tell you what. Okay.
If you want to do it on me,
No,
I'll
okay,
volunteer.
vote for your right. First, let me say, this is really useful for anything that's red or anything that's itchy. Anything at all. So it could be something from a mosquito bite, as Bob said, or something from hives, or it could be from an allergy, or it could be from measles, or it could be from anything at all, poison ivy. It does not matter what the source is, because what you do is you tap around and around and around, and on top, if it's not broken skin, of whatever's red, the redness dissipates, and then your body begins to work on the underlying thing that led to the redness. Does that make sense? It's so simple. The same with itchy. It's amazing. There's a big farmer's market in St. Augustine, and there's a woman who runs a little Mexican thing. They have all kinds of food stuff. And so I like her. The other day I was there, and she said, I'm going crazy. I have this little itchy thing on my leg that I can't get rid of, and I'm having to work, and it's making me crazy. And I happened to have a new one in my pocketbook. So I whipped it out and gave it to her and said, okay, try it. And she tried it and said, oh! And that was the end of it. It really is amazing how fast it is. So all of those discomforts, okay so far? So anything red includes inflammation. So if Bob has inflammation from rheumatoid arthritis, now Bob and I agree that we will honor each other's approaches to everything. How else could you have a happy marriage for a long time? And we do. And so Bob does take drugs for rheumatoid arthritis, but he also uses this stuff for rheumatoid arthritis, and so he's the best of both worlds.
Here's what works, and it works.
Yeah, Bob is. Yeah. So when he has swelling, swelling is another thing. If he has swelling on his joints, if we tap them, the swelling can reduce. Now, if it's much swelling, then sometimes little blood droplets are pushed out. And it's not that this goes down into the skin any deeper, it's that the skin is a little thinner, and the pressure from the swelling pushes them out. So then what happens is the pressure is reduced in his fingers and his knees, and he feels better. The pain reduces. Does that make sense? It's so practical. It's just kind of very logical. You would reduce the pressure inside, which is causing pain, and the pain reduces. Now, it doesn't heal the rheumatoid arthritis. There are lots of theories about autoimmune disorders, and from a Western medicine standpoint, the way to deal with it is through drugs, and I'm not convinced that that's true. So this is the part where I'm that cautiously. It might have to do with, I've read a whole lot about it because I love this man. And it might have to do with a virus. Some people think maybe an Epstein-Barr virus that's still lingering. There's a lot of thought about it. So in that case, one would treat it through lifestyle changes, which is the way you treat viruses the best. Or at least people did, like TB for a long time. They'd send people out in the country. And they would get well.
Imagine
fresh
that.
air, fresh water, I know, healthy food. What a radical thought. So that in the heat from inflammation is released just the way the heat from redness is released. So anything red, that's heat. And
Anybody have something?
Yeah, do you have a red spot or an itchy spot?
Can you clean that with soap and water?
you clean it, but what I do, since we are the only ones that use it, is I rinse it off every single time in pretty warm water, and then about once a month soak it in alcohol. And the thing that people don't mostly know is that alcohol really doesn't make much difference unless you can soak it for 20 minutes or 30 minutes. It really, the whole thing of swiping something with alcohol is really, really not sanitizing enough to sanitize it, but it cleans it. It cleans off dirt. It's just kind of a cultural expectancy, I think. So anyway, then you just poke in a little alcohol. Yeah, and it, you know, since we're the only ones who use it, it's fine.
Anybody have anything?
Red or itchy that you want to try? Okay, Will.
Last week I did.
Arthritic pain. You can deal with arthritis pain. You can deal with the things that I wrote about are all pretty much all things that are what your body does to cope with something underlying. So there's something under it. Yes.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
So I've inherited them. It's a family trait. The little lines and veins like in my cheeks is red. Is that something that, or not really?
You know, no, you can try it. It's one of those things that it works for some and not for others.
Would you like me to hold the camera and then you can
You want to bang on my
do
cheeks?
it?
Does anybody else have anything red they want to get whacked?
We don't see a lot of people jumping up and volunteering, so
I
yeah.
had a real fall one time and I whacked my leg and was left with this big cluster of redness. And so every once in a while I tap it and it's gotten, from here, it's gotten to about here, and now instead of red, it's dark purple. It's changed it. It's not completely gone away. But
See what I'm talking about?
I do, yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
well, let me come over here.
Want to see how this works?
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy, I love you, Eka, to be doing this on.
Okay, and then you just do it every once in a while. You do it like every day if you want to. But tell them how it feels.
It does not hurt. It just kind of feels a little pokey.
A little prickly, yeah.
Yeah, and especially on my face, that's kind of a sensitive spot.
It
so,
is, and I'm going really gently.
Yeah, it just feels like bop, bop, bop.
Yeah. Yeah. If you look at some of the videos that are on YouTube about this, some people really whack with it, which you don't need to. It can be real gentle, and it works. So what I'm doing is just going over the surface. This is called scatter tapping. So I'm just going over the surface here, and her face is getting, if you want, actually, this is kind of, see how red it's getting?
Yeah, it's getting
It's
redder.
getting real red, and that's positive, that she's releasing heat right now. So when this redness goes away, she's going to be left with a less redness underneath it. And she will have to probably do it a bunch of times to make it go away, but I think that's a great sign. You're going to have one red, rosy cheek. Do you care?
Not at all.
Yeah, there. And I can you feel that your energy's shifting?
Mm-hmm.
Here's the other thing that happens is when you get these things released, you relax.
I do. I can't talk right.
Yeah, you really relax. A lot of our problems are caused by resistance to something. So it's tension. And as a yoga teacher, do you find that's true? As people relax, their health improves.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I think so.
So this creates
Barbara had a pretty good experience today. She was
This,
like, yoga
this is
relaxes.
one way I know that's working.
It's wonderful. Yeah.
Ooh, feel that relaxing right in there? Now I'm going below the area. I'm just dissipating. Okay, now would you mind showing people how you look? Or go look.
I even had the tingles in my head. Like,
Yeah, it
You
could
wanna
be
see?
even more.
oh my gosh, I almost feel like
Like what?
like a little like completely relaxed in my cheek. Completely.
Yeah.
It looks good. Yeah, nice. Yeah.
Bob, nice to meet you.
What did you have in the first place?
See, I have like the little lines and
Resonation.
Yeah.
I see.
So we've been asked, not everyone wants to be on film, but thank you for showing that, Anne. Yeah.
She looks good.
We have, yeah.
I have, and yes,
Mhm.
because that's an inflammation. I mean, that's a definite inflammation,
Yes,
and it's terribly painful.
It is, it's a
Mhm.
terrible thing, and you can do it, people have to do it more than once, because it's embedded, you know. But yes, it makes a big difference, it heals it so much faster. It would have taken 2 weeks and it takes, 3 days or something.
Mhm.
Makes a big difference.
Okay. Yeah, hold on.
When you buy
It's
that,
really
there's
red
No, you don't
compared
have
to
to
the
do it
other
on
side.
acupuncture points. That's the beauty of
Yeah,
this.
and you feel all
Anybody can
relaxed,
learn
huh?
how
I
to
do.
it.
I
You
feel
don't have
like,
to learn.
woo.
Cool.
All right,
Yeah.
back on you.
Okay.
Because I did know them, and so I could then give little specialized treatments to people with
Would you
other
like to
things,
try
but
one?
You don't have to, no.
But, so you're talking about more individual or specific areas, but what about a systemic issue?
Well, systemic
don't
things
need a
like rheumatoid arthritis.
Yeah.
Okay, well, it relieves the symptoms. It doesn't cure the rheumatoid arthritis.
Right,
But I
you're talking
see,
about a local application, like you're just working on one swelling or one joint. What about the whole system?
well, that's what I mean, is that you don't have to. So in this booklet, I have 3 conditions there. There are a lot of other things to tell you too, but there are 3 conditions that are more systemic. So headaches is one is allergies, and one is congestion. And there are ways, and I'm getting this booklet illustrated so that people can see where to do it, because I can explain it, but I didn't want to use anatomical terms, because I want anybody to be able to read it. So if I say, go out on the outside of the bone that goes around your eye, so it's that, and then the illustrator's she's putting a picture of where this is, exactly, so people can do it themselves. But no, there are a lot of things. This is a whole big other piece of everything, is that I think a lot of what we have, a lot of what we get are messages. They're messages that there's something else that needs to be tended to. And a lot of times we have no idea what that is. So I have a place on my arm, which I can show you. This is mine, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I have I fell and really hurt my whole left side at one point, really badly. And so I have a section right in here that swells a little bit. And it doesn't hurt me at all. But I know it swells because if I demonstrate, I remember I get little drops of blood. And then I feel very relaxed. And so the swelling is a symptom of something else. I haven't figured out what that is yet.
Right, again, but you're doing something that's localized, so.
You're doing, because you're using the skin.
Right.
Yeah. But some of the booklet has headaches, for instance. So there are different kinds of headaches. And in acupuncture, you think where is a headache across the front usually is connected to digestion, for instance. There are a lot of things. If it's real tight, it's usually connected to liver or gallbladder. I mean, there's a connection there. Things are connected. So in my booklet, I have 3 totally different areas for people to tap that all apply to headache.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes, but that's what I'm looking for. You do give protocols.
And yeah, but the little things are not to be dismissed. So that this swelling means something.
Oh,
There's
sure,
something.
sure.
Yeah, and so then I need to think, what? And I don't think it's always a physical reason. I think it could be physical or emotional. I think it could be, I have a lot of theories about that. What was I going to tell you? Another thing that this is really useful for is if you find tender spots. People have trigger points, and so and usually people. Does anybody want to volunteer an arm? Okay, Tina, come on up.
Yeah, and I can eat problems.
And you haven't had hepatitis or malaria or AIDS?
No.
Okay. I'm going to be real careful. Okay, so now usually people have a tender spot, and I think that you can see that there's one right in here. Wait a minute, let me find it. And I'm going to press pretty hard, and I want you to tell me when it begins to feel like it's, yeah, right there. Okay. Okay, now what I'm going to do is just tap that area. Now there's some reason that she's got this. I don't have any idea what it is, and I'm sure you don't either. However, we can release it, and when it's released, you're going to have an overall effect of feeling a little bit more relaxed. And everybody's going to be different about how relaxed, but there you're beginning to be relaxed. Feel that a little bit?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Isn't that fun?
It's amazing.
So that's an overall effect. Yeah, it is. This is not even hard. And now she's turning red right here. And so she's releasing heat from this area, and I'm going to go right on that. You don't ever want to do it on broken skin, of course. There are precautions. You don't ever want to do it on mucous membranes like your nose or your genitals or your eyes or any of that, of course. You know, there are some precautions, but they're very common sense. There, now you're really beginning to relax.
Oh,
Feel
yeah.
that?
I can feel it in my both arms.
And so this is a generalized feeling from a localized place, but the clue is she had a tender spot. But it's a good question. We could go on and on. Do you want to go around and show them your redness?
Sure.
Now, I need to tell you that if there was not heat there, she wouldn't turn red. Because the instant I say that, people begin to think, well, of course you just beat her with these little needles. But that's not really so. So if there's no redness, there's no heat, there's nothing to release. I wish I could demonstrate some.
So, Anne, it's actually, we need to start wrapping it up. I mean, not the meeting. We'll continue with the meeting for those of you who are here, but the Facebook Live piece, we need to wrap up. So I just wanted to say that you will be, while you're in town, you're doing a 3-hour event. And if you're interested, you can go to the Facebook page, Blue Skies Wellness. Click on the link to get tickets. When you go to get tickets, as a thank you for the Women's Resource Center, we're offering an FRWRC discount. So feel free to choose that discount to sign up. It's very reasonable. And you get a free 7-star and the booklet,
And the booklet. That's exactly right. This is going to be the rough draft.
Yeah.
It's called
I said it's a soft launch.
This is the soft launch, because I don't have the illustrations yet, but it doesn't matter for a whole lot of this. And then we'll go into it and practice on each other. Yeah. So, come. It's just amazing. Wow. We're amazing. It's not that this is, it's that this is. Yeah. So I want to say, to wrap it up, this is so powerful. We have no idea how powerful we are. We're just beginning to figure it out. But believe it, because we are. That's number one. The second is, a lot of this stuff is real easy, and it works, and it keeps you, so if you get relaxed, you're healthier. Your mood is better, your choices, your decisions are better. You head in a better direction. The third is, this doesn't have to be expensive. You have this at home. Occasionally the end might break because you whack it or something. But it's not much.
It's a couple bucks, right?
Yeah,
because I bought
it's like $5 or less on Amazon. You can get them, and then you've got it. So you get several of them, and then you give them to your children. You give them to you have each one in your home. You have one in your pocketbook, one in your car, and
stocking stuffers.
Mm-hmm.
Will your booklet be available at some point too?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know where we get it, but maybe Eka can put that out.
Yeah, I will. I'll be glad to do that. Yeah.
Okay, so this is as soon as the illustrations come in and get it all put together, then I have to think, this is very exciting for me.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
This is what I'm doing in my old age. It's so fun.
Well, we're glad you're doing it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming here. I wish we had all the time to show us so many different Because it's really amazing to see the change in people's faces.
It
And what
is.
happened in their tissues and
It
to
is.
feel it. You know, you can feel the heat.
That it's
coming.
real, that's
It's
right.
real. And
Yeah.
I put a story on Facebook event page for our workshop about how I helped my dog without going to the vet who had a big growth. And I did it on myself, using her as a imagining that I was a surrogate for her. And this thing that had really just kept getting worse, and everything I was doing to made it worse, it was better immediately. And in a couple days it was gone completely, just by doing that on myself. Yeah,
And you can use them on your dog. People use them on their dogs that are ADHD.
Yeah, yeah.
And the
Not
dogs calm
Lucy.
down. I do know somebody who did that.
Cool. Okay,
I'll
well,
try
we
it.
Need
Okay.
to find out more
Thank you.
about that.
All right,
But thank you
you.
all so much. I do want to turn the meeting over to Barbara Way so she can tell us about what's going to be happening in the future.
Well, since we're on Facebook Live, I will say we are the Front Royal Women's Resource Center. Our vision is empowering women to change their world, and this is a perfect example of that, I think. Although this empowers everyone to change their world, as we should. We choose women because we know that in changing women's lives, we change their families' lives, those around them, and ultimately their community. So we try to do things like this. We're going to be we also have another networking event, which is our Win Lunches, and that's next Wednesday at 11:30 here at Open House. And our guest is Debbie Romero, who is actually going to be talking about the Alexander technique and ways that you hold yourself, that you can relieve pain in different ways. So very connected to what we're doing today, and I hope you'll all come. It's a free event. And then later in October, we have our annual yard sale, community yard sale at Whitekirk. And people donate, and then we sell things off, and that raises a little bit of funds for what we do. Is there anything else I can't remember?
And a dream grant.
Well, of course. Yeah, you know, the real star of what we do is our Dare to Dream grant, which is give women 18 and above in our community funds and grants to fund their dreams, whatever those may be, whether it's going back to school, whether it's their business, whatever it may be. Our goal is to help women move up in the world. So we have that, and September we will be starting our annual appeal, and we're tying it in to International Women's Friendship Month. More to come, just so you know. I think that's it.
Thank you so much, Barbara.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank all of you who are here. Very much appreciate you coming down, and Jen Avery of Jenspirations for being our intrepid videographer and cheek provider.
Yes, I'm not flipping the camera. They had enough of my face already.
And also to Beth Waller and Team Waller for offering us the space. And of course, thank you so much to Tina and everyone at the Front Royal Women's Resource Center for making this possible. And thank you again, Ann Adams, for coming.
And thank you all. Thank you all.
Yes, thank you. Bye now. See you next month.